is now in session. We don't have a plurality, but there are enough of us to move the bills, so we'll get started. Okay, who's going first?
I'll start. We'll start off with the concurrence. This is Senate Bill 217. This is the departmental bill from the Commissioner of Financial Regulation that prohibits consumer lenders from requiring a borrower to pay a fee for the transaction of a payment made by certain forms of payment, and there's also limitations on lenders when charging fees for other forms of payment. The House put on an amendment to add a requirement that at least 30 days before requiring a borrower to pay a fee, the lender give notice to the Commissioner of Financial Regulation regarding how the fee was calculated and the actual cost of collecting the payment. I think some concerns have been raised by the Commissioner about how this would be implementable and how the fee amounts would be determined, how you would know.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move not to concur. Second.
Okay, we've got a motion not to concur and a second. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. All right, that's unanimous, so we won't concur.
Moving on to the voting list, Senate Bill 637. This is a bill that, as introduced, would establish a number of requirements relating to funding of certain behavioral health services. Senator Augustine is offering some amendments that essentially would strike a lot of the mandated appropriations in the bill, but allow some of the provisions to go forward that don't carry such a high cost. So on page 10 of the reprint, what the amendments would still require is to have the Maryland Department of Health review and consider options for adopting existing programs or services to provide wraparound services to children and youth with primary substance use disorders. Also, to have the Maryland Department of Health review current eligibility requirements for this mental health case management model and submit recommendations for expanding eligibility and enrollment in these programs to the General Assembly. And then finally, an amendment he's offering as well would have the Maryland Insurance Administration, in consultation with carriers, behavioral health providers, advocates, and other stakeholders, to conduct a study on operational issues related to commercial carrier reimbursement of behavioral health clinical peer specialists and crisis response services, and make recommendations for how to address these issues.
All right, Senator Augustine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill came in aspirational with a lot of hopes for investments. That there have been a lot. We've had a great session as far as investing in behavioral health. What we now are doing here is helping on some of the policy, moving into some of the studies that I think still will be helpful as far as moving us forward in our behavioral health. And so I would just ask that I'll move favorable as amended.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second, and a discussion on the motion. Not all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you.
So the next two bills on the voting list relate to some protections relating to genetic information privacy, but the chair has requested that the bills be held based on some feedback from the Senate sponsor.
Okay.
For how long? Hell, that's right.
Yeah, the Senate sponsor doesn't want it in this form.
And then the last bill on page 1, House Bill 1127. This is the bill that requires the state designated exchange to operate as a health data utility for the state and provide data as allowed by law to individuals and organizations involved in the treatment and care coordination of patients and to support public health goals. So we I've held this a couple days and it's back on the list.
Okay, is there a motion from anybody? All right, we got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Senator Reedy?
I've been talking to a lot of folks about this bill. It's been narrowed to dispensers, correct?
Right, I mean, the requirements to submit information is on dispensers, correct?
Is one question was brought to me is there are no pharmacists on the council, on the advisory council? That was one,
But the dispensing was done by the pharmacist.
So, yeah, so it's a consumer advisory council, that's, which
so
has.
it's only consumers on the council?
It's a consumer advisory council. I think the design was to get input on making sure that any of the privacy protections that would be implemented would take into consideration some of the concerns that consumers might bring to the table.
Okay, and it only applies to pharmacists right now because that's who's prescribing?
Yeah, I mean,
Was the bill wider at some point?
I mean, I think the focus has always been on getting some of this prescription drug information into CRISP for the purposes of care coordination, as well as getting some of this information accessible when in the de-identified form for some of these public health research elements.
So it's fair, so the, last question, Madam Chair, thank you. It's fair to say that this bill is making this information acceptable to the, accessible to the government in a way that it is not if we don't pass this bill, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are two aims to this. One is for patient care, so there's care coordination.
Right.
But the other part is for some of these identified public health purposes that are listed in the bill.
The government has access to PDMP already for the controlled substances, correct?
Correct.
So this is adding in non-controlled substances and giving care providers, but also government entities access, but the government will only get de-identified.
Yes, so for example, the purposes of the health data utility include the collection, aggregation, and analysis of clinical information, public health data, and health administrative and operations data to assist the health department, local health departments, the Maryland Healthcare Commission, and the Health Services Cost Review Commission in the evaluation of public health interventions and health equity. So that would be, yes, there would be an available use for some of this aggregate data for some of these public health initiatives.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Do we have a motion? All right, and we had a second. All right, no other questions. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, that's not unanimous. Let's call the roll.
Is this, Patrick, is this favorable?
Favorable.
House Bill 1127, favorable. Senator Feldman? Aye. Senator Klausmeier? Yes. Senator Kramer? Yes. Senator Hayes? Yes. Senator Reedy? No. Senator Augustine? Yes. Senator Beidle? Yes. Senator Hershey? No. Senator Jennings? No. Madam Chair?
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
A couple more concurrences. So the first of these two would be Senate Bill 12, which is returned with an amendment applied in the House. Senate Bill 12 pertains to behavioral health crisis response services and public safety answering points. The House amendment to Senate Bill 12 aligns the bill with House Bill 129, which passed the Senate unanimously last week. To keep the bills identical, the committee would move to concur with the House amendment.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion?
191?
It's 12. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. All right, that's unanimous.
The next concurrence is Senate Bill 191, which is returned with an amendment applied in the House. There's a reprint before you for your reference. Senate Bill 191 is a departmental bill that streamlines the report requirements of the Department of Commerce by repealing individual program reports and centralizing the reports within an existing consolidated report. The amendments first retain an existing requirement for data to be posted on the Department of Commerce's Finance Tracker database. As introduced, Commerce was, and this is according to notes that were provided by the Commerce Department, Commerce was trying to simplify and streamline these requirements as well. But as amended, many of the requirements will remain in statute, and those that are difficult or burdensome to implement have been removed. So second, the amendments alter the existing Purple Line Grant Program to allow the department to disperse the funds for fiscal years 2023 and 2024 to Prince George's and Montgomery counties for the counties to administer and distribute grants to businesses. And these amendments will alter the statute to match the way the funding is provided for fiscal 2022 and how that funding is currently being administered. The Department of Commerce has indicated that it is comfortable with these amendments, and the bill passed the House as amended unanimously.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor, please raise your hand. Senator Dennis, all right, that's unanimous. Okay.
The next bill is a late addition to the voting list, and that is House Bill 158. So House Bill 158 is similar to Senate Bill 554, which passed the Senate unanimously earlier this session. House Bill 158 establishes the New Start Grant Program within the Department of Labor and the New Start Microloan Program within the Department of Commerce. The purpose of the grant program is to provide grants to at least 5 organizations to create or support existing entrepreneurship development programs to provide assistance to specified individuals. The microloan program provides loans to covered individuals participating in eligible entrepreneurship programs funded under the New Start Grant Program. The House bill includes mandated appropriations for fiscal years 24 through 28 of $300,000 for the microloan programs and $200,000 for the grant program. There is an amendment which is correcting a reference to the New Start Grant Program.
Okay. Senator Augustine?
So does it mean that it's not in the same posture as the Senate bill with these corrections, or will be in the same posture?
There is the added issue of this correcting the reference to the New Start Grant Program.
Yeah.
That's also going to be addressed in the Senate bill over in the House. And with the amendment that the House applied, establishing the mandated appropriations, the same thing will be applied in the House to the Senate bill.
Okay,
So the
I
bills will be
move
aligned.
favorable as amended.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor, please raise your hands. All right, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Next bill is House Bill 440, which increases the maximum generating capacity of a community solar energy generating system from 2 megawatts to 5 megawatts. The bill likewise increases the maximum allowable generating capacity of a community solar energy generating system for the system to be eligible for net metering from 2 to 5 megawatts. And the bill also requires that a community solar energy generating system that exceeds 2 megawatts must obtain a certificate of public convenience and necessity before its construction. There are no additional amendments.
Move favorable as amended. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded as amended. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor, raise your hand. All right, let's call the roll.
House Bill 440, favorable with amendment. Senator Feldman? Aye. Senator Klausmeier? Yes. Yes. Senator Kramer?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Hayes?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Reedy? Pass. Senator Augustine?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Beidle?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Hershey?
No.
No. Senator Reedy?
No.
No. Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that passes.
Next bill is House Bill 766, which authorizes a core service agency, local addictions authority, or local behavioral health authority, subject to the availability of funding in the state budget, to approve funding for a youth's educational costs during a residential treatment center admission for medical or psychiatric purposes. This is House Bill 766. This authorization applies if, one, a youth is screened for voluntary or involuntary admission to determine whether a less restrictive alternative can be provided, and two, the educational costs for the youth are not otherwise covered under the state and local cost-sharing formula for non-public placements for students with disabilities. The bill expresses the intent of the General Assembly that general funds be provided annually beginning in fiscal 2024 to the Maryland Department of Health for administrative and educational costs under the bill. There's an amendment that's being offered by Senator Klausmeyer that is reflected in the reprint that delays the effective date of the bill to January 1, 2024, and allows local behavioral, or in order to allow local behavioral health authorities time to implement the bill.
All right, what is your pleasure? We've got a motion, we don't. All right, motion and a second, and a discussion on the motion. If not, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay. All right, that's not unanimous, it looks like, so let's call a roll.
I think it was unanimous.
Okay, all right, I didn't. Okay, then that's fine. When I looked up, I saw one
The
hand
effective
up.
date is changed to January 1, 2024.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay.
The next bill is House Bill 1052. House Bill 1052 prohibits the use of non-arc resistant jacketed corrugated stainless steel tubing, or CSST, in certain natural gas or liquefied propane applications. The bill only applies to a building that uses a fuel gas piping system that is not subject to certain provisions of the Code of Federal Regulations. There are no amendments being offered.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second and a discussion on the motion. Not all in favor.
Jenny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Sorry. So the question that came up during the hearing, difference between, I guess it would be a classification of the pipe versus a standard. List, yes. Which one are we going with? And
So there are no amendments being offered on the bill, and the House bill came over with simply the language that I stated, which is it would prohibit the use of non-arc resistant jacketed corrugated stainless steel tubing.
so that keeps it pretty open to, as long as you comply, you're good. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Any further questions? All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. All right, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Next bill is House Bill 1082, which was heard last week. House Bill 1082 requires state and local agencies to use plain language in public communications about health, safety, and social services benefits. The University of Maryland Herschel Horowitz Center for Health Literacy is designated as the state's consumer health information hub to promote and ensure public access to information to inform decisions about health, safety, and social services benefits, For fiscal years 24 through 26, the governor must include in the annual budget an appropriation of $350,000 to the hub. The bill also requires the Department of Health and local health departments, when awarding grants, to give special consideration to entities designated by the hub to meet health literacy criteria. The bill specifies that alleged compliance or non-compliance with the bill is not subject to judicial review and does not create or authorize a right enforceable by administrative or judicial action. There are no amendments and there is no opposition at the hearing.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor, please raise your hand. All right, let's call the roll.
House Bill 1082, favorable, Senator Feldman. Aye. Senator Klausmeyer. Yes. Senator Kramer. Yes. Senator Hayes. Yes. Senator Reedy. Yes. Senator Augustine. Yes. Senator Beidle. Yes. Senator Hershey. Yes. Senator Jennings.
I'll say yes.
Yes. Madam Chair.
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
Because we hesitated for a second. We were talking.
House Bill
We're on the sidebar.
Okay.
House Bill 1391-1 reestablishes the qualified plug-in electric vehicle and fuel cell electric vehicle excise tax credit and extends eligibility to certain vehicles and property. Number 2, it establishes the medium-duty and heavy-duty zero-emission vehicle grant program within the Maryland Energy Administration. And 3, requires in specified fiscal years certain transfers and appropriations from the Strategic Energy Investment Fund and other mandated appropriations. So the amendments extend the medium-duty and heavy-duty zero-emission vehicle grant program for 1 year to fiscal 2027, strikes zero-emission heavy equipment property from provisions related to the excise tax credit, alters criteria for a zero-emission plug-in electric vehicles eligible for an excise tax credit, specifically referencing the base price rather than the total price of the vehicle, and reduces the maximum annual amount transferred from CEF from 10 million to 8.25 million.
Okay. All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Senator Hershey?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nathan, maybe you can answer. Much of this is because we decided to kind of link up with California on a requirement of some type that we would try to get a certain amount of electric vehicles in the state, or follow that. Is that somewhat accurate, or?
I'm not familiar with any
Do you know that?
agreement or parallel to the California program, but that wouldn't exclude it.
Right, so I thought I understood that we for some reason had a goal of 300,000 vehicles. We're currently about 40,000 now, and we had to try to achieve that number. One of my concerns have always been that these vehicles are using the highways and roads and yet not paying into the Transportation Trust Fund through the gasoline tax. And that's been obviously a very big concern lately on the amount of that, not just the amount of that, but the fact that the General Assembly has passed legislation that automatically increases that with the price or with the rate of inflation. And we expect to see another increase July 1st as well, too. So that's been a concern of mine. I know last year we had a similar electric vehicle bill that we put language in there that asked for a study of evaluating other states to see how they're handling that. Many states are handling it through an increased registration fee. I still believe that that's something that this committee needs to look at some point in time, you know, and maybe 40,000 vehicles is not the right tipping point number to make a difference, but maybe 80,000 is, or maybe 100,000 is down the road. I just don't think we can continue passing on not having these vehicles pay for the road system as well, too. And I'm fine with the bill, but I just think at some point in time we need to address that as well.
Okay. Any other discussion? Senator Beidle?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I certainly understand my colleague's concern on that, but I also know that vehicles are one of our biggest polluters, and this is just a way that we're trying to reduce pollution. And I think it's important to try to get more electric cars. We do need to figure out how to get them to pay some kind of road tax as we see more and more vehicles, but I do support the bill. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion?
We had a motion favorable and a second.
Okay, well, we've got a motion and a second, so let's, all in favor, let's raise our hands. All right, that's unanimous, thank you.
Okay, back to your green sheet. There's 4 concurrences at the top of the list. The first one is Senate Bill 205. The first 2 actually deal with sunset extensions. This bill came out of committee, and then there was an amendment offered, I believe, by Senator Rosa Pepp to limit the sunset extension to 2 years. He was trying to work on some language, far-reaching language regarding apprenticeship, and he didn't have it at that point, but the bill went over. The House came back and restored the original termination date in the bill to 2000. Oh, their amendments, I'm sorry, their amendments brought back the original termination date to 2034. And as an FYI, and a bill that passed much later, Senator Rosa Pepp got a commission, apprenticeship commission attached to that, so I think that was what he was trying to do with this bill, but he had to wait, it took him a while to come up with that. So this has the original termination date as reestablished by the House as 2034. I don't see any reason not to.
All right, I got a motion. Okay. We have a second. Okay. All in favor of the motion to concur, raise your hands. All right, that's unanimous.
Okay, the next bill is another sunset extension. This is the State Commission on Real Estate Appraisers, Appraisal Management Companies, and Home Inspectors. The bill came in, and Senator Hayes had a study attached to it, and as a result, wanted the commission to only go extended till 2025. The House kept the study, but then extended put on the original sunset extension of 2033. So Senator Hayes is.
All right, Senator Hayes.
Yeah, Madam Chair, the reason why we put the abbreviated study was to give an opportunity for the results of the study. Remember, this is looking at appraisals, and throughout the state, and especially in Prince George's County, there's been a lot of media about, especially people of color having their appraisals undervalued. This will give us an opportunity to review it. With a new administration coming in next year, it would be too soon. And so we moved that date to 2025, giving an opportunity for the study to come back, as well as whatever new administration come in and get settled and review the study to 2025. And so I would propose that we not concur. Again, the deadline for this current commission don't expire till 2023. So we're already a year ahead of our time in extending this commission. We could come back next session if it fails and extend this. But here's an opportunity where we could guarantee that it's going to be extended. The sunset would be extended, and get a study and have an opportunity to review it.
Okay, and to go all the way to 2033 is a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
If a lot of ill stuff is happening, it would happen a lot longer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Move to not concur.
all right, do we have a second? All right, any discussion on that motion? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that's unanimous, thank you.
Okay. Good conferees. I'm sure Senator Hayes would want to sit on the conference committee. The next bill is Senate Bill 421. This is the school bus driver wages study. The other day, you passed the House bill and amended it to the Senate bill. This House is coming over with the amended bill to look like their bill, so I guess to be consistent, you would not want to concur with these amendments, and maybe there's some middle ground between the two.
Move to not concur.
Second.
All right, motion is not to concur. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of the non-concurrence, raise your hands. Okay, thank you. That's
Okay.
unanimous.
Okay, the last bill is Senate Bill 788. This is Senator Feldman's bill that came in regulating a THC chemical and was amended to be a study. The House added amendments to the Senate bill to provide that these certain types of chemicals could not be sold to folks under 21. So the amendments in front of you to Senator Feldman's bill amended to look like the House bill. Also, the House adopted a floor amendment, as did you, or no, it wasn't a floor amendment. You also put on an amendment adding 2 additional groups to the study group. So this bill now, with the amendments, is the same as the House bill that came out of this committee.
Okay, move to concur.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor, please raise your hands. Senator Jennings, you're voting? Okay, thank you. That's unanimous.
Okay, now to the list of bills, House Bill 662. You had a discussion yesterday on this bill. The chair offered an amendment to basically put in House Bill 169 with one change. The chair is withdrawing that amendment. There was a group of folks who met yesterday, Senator Jennings, Senator Klausmeyer, Senator Bidel, and they met with a representative from the House, of the House sponsor. And so you have a new reprint in front of you.
Okay.
So we'll go through this very quickly. If you were, and by agreement, the House bill would have said that this state coordinator on autism strategy would be appointed with the advice and consent of the Senate. That is struck, as you see on page 2 of the reprint. The language mandating an appropriation for support staff is retained. If you go to the next page, would be up to certain additional members to the State Coordinator Council would be appointed by the State Coordinator on Autism Strategy. And the language that the State Coordinator for Autism Strategy is the chair of the advisory committee is retained. That was struck by the Senate Bill 169, so that is still here. And if you go to the next page, the diversity language that was added to the bill yesterday is still here about the geographic diversity of the coordinating council. And then there was language that would have added the State Coordinator of Autism Strategy to the Interagency Disabilities Board convened by the governor. That is also removed from the bill. So, and the Senate and one senator and 2 delegates added to the advisory council is still in the bill. So that is the agreed to package in front of you.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All right, any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. Senator Hershey, are you okay? All right, that's unanimous.
Okay. The next bill is House Bill 694. This again was held over from yesterday. This is the bill that, as amended by the House, requires HSCRC, the State Designated Exchange, the Office of the Comptroller, MHA, to develop a process whereby people will be identified who may have been eligible for free or reduced care and a way to get reimbursement for those folks. There's an amendment offered by Senator Bidel, who was part of a group that met yesterday to come up with some further refinement of this proposal. And you'll see in the reprint in front of you that instead of specifying 5 calendar years, it would just say through the years 2017 through 2021. So these are the years that would be the focus of this process. There's a change that says that provides reimbursement to the patients identified under item 1 of this subsection, which may be applied incrementally. So it doesn't mean it all has to happen at once. This could happen incrementally. If you go to the next page, there's an additional language added that says the process developed under this subsection may be modified as necessary. And the bill, as passed by the House, would have terminated, if you go to the very last page, would have terminated in 2 years. This extends the termination date to 3 years, and this, as of June 30th, 2025, this act will be no force in effect.
Okay. Any Discussion, Senator Hayes?
Yeah, Madam Chair, yesterday, I know there was gonna be a group that met, and I know you guys met, but then there's been back and forth like all day. Does these amendments address the concerns of both MHA as well as the advocates?
Senator Bidle?
Thank you. So we did meet yesterday and came to kind of a different resolution, but MHA and the sponsor and the chair of the House Subcommittee all worked together, and these are the amendments that are a result of that work group. And so they're all on board. The advocates, the sponsor, and the chair of the subcommittee.
Everyone's happy.
Everybody's, that's what I've been told. Everybody's
right.
singing Kumbaya.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay.
Second.
All right. If no further discussion, all in favor, please raise your hands. All right, that's unanimous.
Keep your ears open.
Okay, thanks so much. This